This is CNN Breaking News.
We're following breaking news, major new developments in the special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. Newly revealed emails show then Trump campaign chairman Steve Bannon talked to longtime Trump advisor and political operative Roger Stone about WikiLeaks and its plan to release Democratic emails stolen by Russia just before the 2016 election. The source tells CNN that Mueller's team has copies of the emails, and we know that investigators have interviewed multiple associates of Roger Stone. I'll talk about the breaking news with Congressman Andre Carson of the Intelligence Committee. And our correspondents, analysts, and specialists are also standing by. First, let's get some more on the breaking news right now. Our political correspondent, Sarah Murray, is joining us. Sarah, more than ever, it looks like Roger Stone could be key to any collusion charges in the special counsel's Russia investigation.
Well, he certainly is key right now, Wolf, to Mueller's investigation into whether there was any kind of collusion. And, now we're getting a glimpse at the fact that Roger Stone was in contact with at least one senior Trump campaign official about WikiLeaks document dumps.
New emails reveal Roger Stone was in touch with a senior Trump campaign official, Steve Bannon, about WikiLeaks during the 2016 presidential race. Special counsel Robert Mueller's team has copies of the emails, a source tells CNN, part of its investigation into whether Stone actually had an inside track with WikiLeaks and whether he shared any of that information with members of the Trump campaign. In an email on October 4th, 2016, Bannon, then the Trump campaign CEO, wrote to Stone, "What was that this morning?" Stone published the emails in a column Thursday for the right-wing Daily Caller. Bannon's email came shortly after WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange delivered a speech billed as an October surprise.
I understand that there's enormous expectation in the United States.
But Assange didn't unveil any new information, angering some of Trump's supporters who were hoping for a bombshell on Hillary Clinton. In a reply to Bannon, Stone explained the delay, fear, serious security concern. However, a load every week going forward. Stone says his email was based on public information. During his media event, Assange promised more WikiLeaks material was coming. Stone's move to publish the emails preempted a New York Times story Thursday about Stone's efforts to pitch himself to Trump campaign officials as a WikiLeaks insider. At least one campaign official told investigators Stone told campaign officials he had ties to Assange, according to a person familiar with the investigation. While Stone made a show, publicly and privately, of bragging about his ties to Assange during the 2016 campaign, he has since revised his story. Stone says he actually relied on publicly available information, tips from journalists, and a back-channel source, progressive New York activist Randy Credico. Credico has denied he acted as a back-channel.
And then, of course, there is the Mueller investigation, poking into every aspect of my private, personal, business, social, family, and political life.
Stone hasn't been contacted by Mueller's team, but nearly a dozen of his associates have. Still, it's unclear what charges, if any, Stone could ultimately face. The New York Times also published emails showing Stone asking Bannon to help him get funding from GOP donor Rebecca Mercer to spread a story based on no evidence that Bill Clinton has a love child. "I've raised $150K for the targeted black digital campaign through a C4, Stone wrote. Tell Rebecca to send us some money. The request could run afoul of federal election laws. Stone says he never received any money from the Mercers, and he maintains he is innocent.
From your back.
Guilty of no crime in connection with the 2016 election or anything else.
Now, even though Roger Stone says he is innocent, he has also said that he wouldn't be surprised if the special counsel brings charges against him. Stone insists those would be trumped-up charges designed to get him to flip and cooperate against President Trump. Wolf.
Sarah, I want you to stand by. Mark Mazzetti is with us as well of the New York Times. He's a CNN national security analyst. You've been doing reporting on this story as well. Tell us a little bit more about the emails that clearly are of great interest to Robert Mueller and his team.
The significance of the emails, first and foremost, is that on the same day that Julian Assange makes this big announcement in early October of a big document dump ahead, Steve Bannon emails Roger Stone to ask him, what is this all about? So clearly the campaign chairman of the Trump campaign saw Stone as some kind of a conduit. As we reported today, that several witnesses have told the Mueller investigation who were in the Trump campaign that they saw Stone as some kind of a conduit, or he represented himself as such. The big question, of course, is was he? And this is where we get into the murkiness of Roger Stone's public and private comments. But the emails are significant, and as you say, they are of real interest to the Mueller investigation.
Could these emails and Roger Stone, Sarah, be potentially what Mueller is looking for in his team as far as collusion is concerned?
I mean, certainly one of the things that they are looking at is whether Roger Stone was legitimately getting some kind of information from WikiLeaks and whether he was in any way sharing that information with members of the Trump campaign or with Donald Trump directly. So this email does show you that he was in contact with senior officials at the campaign. He did have access to these people. You know, the question is whether he shared other information that we haven't seen yet. You know, he is right that the information in this email is stuff that Julian Assange was saying publicly. There's no, big secret smoking hidden gun in there, but it tells you he can get Bannon when he needs him. We know that he could get Donald Trump when he needed him. So who knows what else they talked about.
Steve Bannon, who was a top official in the Trump campaign, we know he's now been interviewed 3 times by Mueller and his team. We don't know what went on in those interviews, but presumably a lot of questions about all of this contact with Roger Stone, WikiLeaks, and WikiLeaks, how WikiLeaks got all those hacked emails courtesy of Russia.
Right. And in a federal investigation like this, you always look to who hasn't been interviewed yet, who hasn't been called in. And best we can tell, Roger Stone has not been interviewed by Mueller or been before the grand jury. If you're Roger Stone, that means there's a problem, right? It means that there could be, you could be a target, we don't know, but you're in greater potential legal danger. And so, as Sarah reported, it could be any number of things. He has said, well, maybe he'll look for financial crimes, maybe it'll be perjury. He is trying to build this idea that, as the president has, it's all a witch hunt, and if they find me on financial crimes, it'll be a very, very low bar, nothing to do with collusion.
Mark, how big of a deal is it that apparently no one from the Trump campaign called the FBI or any other law enforcement authority to say, hey, there may be some illegal activity going on, Russia through WikiLeaks passing on information, campaign-related information, campaign finance laws, stuff like that?
That is the single biggest question throughout this whole saga, not just on the Stone emails, but going back to the Trump Tower meeting of June 2016, back to the George Papadopoulos meeting a couple months earlier. Nobody, as far as we can tell, in the Trump campaign, after all this outreach, ever went to the FBI and said, hey, you know what, this is untoward, this shouldn't be happening, we want to notify you because this is a foreign power trying to interfere in the election. Remember, when these Stone emails came, it was widely reported that the Russians had been behind this WikiLeaks activity.
What do you expect? What are you hearing from your sources, Sarah, about possible indictment of Roger Stone?
Well, look, we're obviously just days away from the midterm, so we're not necessarily expecting any big announcements to come before then. But afterwards, we don't know. There are people who are involved in this investigation who say they certainly wouldn't be surprised to see additional indictments. But Robert Mueller's team is very tight-lipped. And, when they have an indictment, we will all find out about it, but not until they want us to.
As you know, Roger Stone keeps saying he was just hyping information that Julian Assange had already spoken about publicly, and he didn't do anything wrong.
Right. Roger Stone has said a lot of things at a lot of different times, sometimes at odds with each other, right? And he is someone who has built a career on making some things that are false look real. So figuring out what the story is has been difficult, specifically on Roger Stone. He said different things about what he thought Guccifer was, whether it was Russians or a lone hacker. He said different things about whether he knew Assange or ever had direct dealings with WikiLeaks. So this has been, as reporters covering this, one of the biggest troubles of this investigation is the Roger Stone aspect.
You can imagine how Mueller feels searching through the same stuff about what is real and what is, perhaps exaggerated.
And I can assure you, whatever he knows, Robert Mueller and his team, is a ton more than any of us know. They know a lot right now. Mark Mazzetti, you and your team at the New York Times doing excellent reporting on this. Thank you very much, Sarah. You're doing excellent reporting as well.